And here we go.
There's the W. Here's ignition.
Following up.
Did it just do a Kerbal?
Back to the moon and beyond.
Put that in the big bag, Gino.
Back at home, we all have a lot of work to do, but from here, that sure looks like a perfect flow.
Propulsion continues to be normal.
We did have an observation.
Equalize.
343 unfolds to go.
It's orange.
Water towers can fly!
Bingo! Right in the center.
Where's Jacqueline? There it is!
That was surreal.
That's not what we want to see.
No.
Oh my god.
Yikes. You bet. Sure. We don't need any more of these.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to another NSF live stream from right here on the Space Coast of Florida. You are taking a live look over at Space Launch Complex 40 at the Cape Canaveral Space Force Station, where SpaceX's Falcon 9 rocket is poised and hopefully ready to launch the Starlink 10-43 mission in just under 1 hour's time. Seeing some 5x5s in chat, I would say we are off to a good start this morning. This very early morning here on the East Coast of Florida. My name is Max Evans, spaceflight content producer here at NASA Spaceflight, and I will be your host for this morning's coverage. But of course, I am not the only one who is going to be joining you this morning on comms and cameras and pushing buttons and pulling levers and all that kinds of stuff. Of course. First, I have in the, I forgot the word already. In the studio with me on commentary today is Mr. Ryan Weber. How you doing, Ryan? Good morning.
For forgetting words already, Max, we're off to a great start, aren't we?
It's 5 a.m., Ryan. Give me a break.
Understandable. I'm a little tired myself, but anyways, hey everyone. How's it going?
Of course. And we also have DWise out in the field here at the KSC press site with a couple of cameras to show this morning's liftoff, or hopefully liftoff, in about 56 and a half minutes time. So thank you very much for coming out, Demon, and getting those cameras set up, because this morning could potentially be a rather pretty one. And also behind the scenes, pushing buttons and pulling levers is the one and only Jay Keegan, of course. Y'all, just as a quick reminder, if you have any questions in chat, feel free to tag us at NASA Spaceflight or at NSF, and we will get to your questions as they come. So, Ryan, I think first and foremost, as I think you guys already talked about yesterday morning before the whole kerfuffle happened with the weather and the delays into the launch window, can you tell us a bit more about what is happening this morning?
Yeah, so this morning is Starlink mission 10-43. I don't know if it's exactly the 43rd mission in the 10th shell, because a lot of times they mix around the numbers, but we're definitely close to probably like 40 missions in the shell, if anything. It's carrying 29 Starlink V2 mini satellites. This is booster 1090-12. So it's already it's already done 11 flights. Hey. Booster recovery is a shortfall of Gravitas, because as we've talked about a lot, especially on these Starlink streams, just read the instructions, has been retired from Falcon 9 service and will be used to transport Starship material, whether it's Starships, boosters, or tanks for that for the pads, because they need a lot of cryogenic tanks for that for those pads. Fairing recovery is Bob, and it's a northeast trajectory of 53.16 degrees. So, northeast inclination. What?
Very northeast.
Yes, very northeast. There you go. There's the debris hazard zones, and that's your trajectory for today's flight. I did say ordinary Starlink. I mean, I know we always say that, but we don't say it. But it kind of is.
I mean, I hate to say it like that, because SpaceX isn't exactly launching Falcon 9 every 2 to 4 days like they used to in the good old days, of the last 2 or 3 years, right? Obviously, with that retirement of just read the instructions, they have a lot less assets to continue a rapid launch cadence of Falcon 9, and also with the Starlink V2 Mini shell beginning to wrap up now, there isn't really much of a demand for Falcon 9 of that cadence. The need isn't there. And of course, they have the ability to bring back boosters to LZ40 and LZ2 when required, as we see some gorgeous footage from the liftoff from Vandenberg this morning, which actually we didn't see it. But this footage was taken, of course, obviously, once everything was in orbit and during Starlink deploy. Yeah, times are a changing. Falcon 9's manifest is certainly a shifting with the probably soon to be end of the V2 mini shell before they begin to transition to the Starlink version 3 shell with Starship from either Starbase and or Launch Complex 39 here on the Space Coast of Florida. Maybe by the end of this year. We'll have to wait and see. We certainly hope that happens because that is something that we have been waiting for a very long time. But the drone ship in question today, of course, is a Shortfall of Gravitas station about 600 kilometers downrange, and I believe aiding in fairing recovery this morning. Oh gosh, was it Bob or Doug? Jay, help! Jay, help! It was Bob. Okay,
It was Bob.
it was Bob. Okay, cool. Which is stationed, yes, there we go, as you can see on your screen. And Bob is stationed about 100 kilometers farther downrange to aid in scooping those fairings out of the water once they re-enter Earth's atmosphere under parachute. So lots of, despite Falcon 9 not flying as often as it used to, which is really, really strange to say, and I'm still kind of like accustomed and acclimatized to Falcon 9 flying like every 2 to 4 days. Like it's a wild thing to try and get used to. But Falcon 9, it's really is business as usual. Of course, it is the American workhorse for American mass to orbit capability right now. And obviously, with New Glenn having its recent major temper tantrum over at Launch Complex 36, Vulcan. Yeah, it threw a big temper tantrum and just said no. No more for a bit. And then, of course, Vulcan having its own series of issues, which, of course, New Glenn does not help out with because Vulcan's core stage uses the BE4s that are used on New Glenn. Well, sort of. The ones on New Glenn are meant to be reusable, whereas Vulcans are expendable. And Atlas V is nearing retirement now. There is only one more Atlas V as we have so commonly come to know it. There's only one more 551 left, and that is to send up another batch of Amazon LEO satellites up into orbit. I want to say probably at some point in July, although I think we are still awaiting an official launch date for that from ULA. But of course, there are Atlases after that, but they are all currently assigned to Starliner. And look. Only bigger powers know what's in store for Starliner beyond the next scheduled mission, which is it was supposed to be for I think it was April or May of this year, and has since been postponed till I think it was Q4 of this year. But it was a very broad
next year at that rate.
Yeah, it was a very broad, no month, just Q4 of 2026. So we'll have to wait and see what fate has in store for that. But of course, times are it feels like a really strange time here on the Space Coast as of late, with Falcon 9 cadence ramping down, New Glenn having its own issues, of course, big issue I should say, over at Pad 36, but there are efforts underway to hopefully bring that back into service by the end of the year. Atlas V nearing retirement as we have already just talked about, and of course Vulcan not really knowing when that's going to fly again. So in the meantime, Falcon 9 is what we have, and actually we do also have Falcon Heavy, but we are probably going to have to wait until at least August to see the next one. But yeah, folks,
it's a fun launch though.
It is.
That's a program that is actually early and under budget, which is weird for a NASA space mission, science space mission.
And what is that science space mission?
The Roman Space Telescope. the Nancy Grace Roman Space Telescope Wide Field Infrared Survey Telescope. It's answer questions in dark energy, exoplanets, infrared astrophysics. It's going to be a significant upgrade in wide field telescope capabilities for the world. Basically, the mirror is about the same size as Hubble, but it's a much more advanced internals compared to Hubble. Hubble's old, let's be honest here. It's kind of funny that the NRO has these mirrors just lying around, and these mirrors are decades old, and you wonder. It always goes, well, what do they have now? I just want to tell people, you don't want to know what the NRO has as its capability right now. You don't want to know. You've seen what Hubble can do with something from like the 80s and 90s.
Yes.
And you're going to be able to see what Nancy Roman is going to be able to do. You do not want to know what a keyhole NRO sat can do. You don't want to know. Trust me, you don't want to know.
The resolution that modern spy satellites have nowadays is alarming. And that's before you even think about the synthetic aperture radar satellites, and not just those that were originally built like Hubble, because the main construction or structure of Hubble is essentially a spy satellite, but just turned to look out into space, as opposed to being turned around to look down at Earth at whatever powers at B want it to. And Nancy Grace Roman is multiple levels on top of that, even more so. I think perhaps it might be fair to say, correct me if I'm wrong, than James Webb, but that's not really a fair comparison though, considering James Webb is out in the L2 Lagrange point past the moon, and Roman is, I believe, going into low Earth orbit. Ryan, I think.
I'd have to double check the orbits going into, but it's not the same as James Webb. James Webb is it's a slightly different infrared telescope with the size of its mirror and then the cooling system it has. It's meant for much more precise, lower near infrared observations than Nancy Grace Roman will be. It's a unique telescope, to say the least, because whenever you see if you see a colored picture from James Webb, that is not the colors that it's actually looking at, because it's infrared. It's added colors in. So you'd have to actually look at the actual photo from James Webb. This one will be more visual, more like Hubble, in the way it takes pictures and the way it looks like. It's kind of like a Hubble replacement, kinda, but it's the what they're used for are two different things. So yeah,
it's going to be awesome either way. I think media application or media credential applications for its arrival to KSC have recently gone out, and as has been recently confirmed by personnel aboard the Pegasus barge. Pegasus is how Nancy Grace Roman is getting here to KSC or the Kennedy Space Center, which is pretty exciting. I can't recall the last time we had a major satellite or any real major piece of hardware that isn't an SLS core stage or a space shuttle external tank that has arrived here in Florida via Pegasus. I mean, I think obviously the core stage boat tail for Artemis 3 came in from aboard Pegasus, but that's quote unquote just the boat tail for SLS. It wasn't a space telescope or anything of the sorts. But it's going to be exciting to see how that unfolds, because even though I was about to say it's only June, it's already June. We're coming up on the halfway point of the year, folks. But August, as recently announced, will be the new targeted launch date for the telescope. Currently August 30th, I think it was, if I read that correctly. August will be here before we know it. That's only a couple of months away, folks. So lots of exciting things to look forward to. As you can see some footage here from the SLS core stage for Artemis 3 being unloaded from Pegasus here just a few weeks ago. I think it was, oh gosh, when was that?
It was like
that was
not
April.
long after A2.
I think Artemis 2 was still on the way to the moon when this thing unloaded. Is that accurate to say? I can't remember the dates. April was
No, it got there. It got there like after Artemis 2 came back, but it
it did.
wasn't that
Okay.
long after.
Yeah, I
I
know
don't remember
it
the exact
wasn't.
date
Like
off the
it
top of my
was
head.
like it was a matter of like I think around like a week or 10 days or something like super short like that. It wasn't long at all. It was kind of nuts to see actually. Very reminiscent, dare I say, of Apollo, just in terms of how quickly hardware was moving and being staged for the next mission, which was nice to see, especially from the NASA side of hardware, because we of course don't get that very often. Okay, coming up on the 43-minute in the countdown, folks. And as the countdown progresses, I want to remind everyone that it really helps us out a lot with the vagaries in the YouTube algorithm to make sure to hit that like button, share the stream with those you care about, and of course hit that subscribe button for more streams like this and more coverage of other sorts coming your way. So please do that. Please do that for us. It would be a big help, especially at these hours of the morning when the East Coast of the U.S. is just beginning to wake up. But Falcon 9 should be waking up on, or should be waking up a bunch more people here, hopefully, in about 43 minutes' time. So I'm going to run through a few questions here in the queue. First and foremost, coming from ResistoJet with a very good question, I do have to say, asking jellyfish. Ryan, how far away is the current T0 from sunrise right now?
I'd have to look at the exact sunrise here.
I want to
I
say
think we're
it's like
close.
30-ish minutes. I think
I think
last
we're
time I checked, but I don't have the exact figures. Hang on, stand by. Okay, so local sunrise here in Cape Canaveral is currently 6:24 a.m. and the current T0 is of course 5:53 a.m. So that puts us at about 31 minutes before sunrise. So there's going to be plenty of warmth of twilight in the sky already, kind of lapping up over the horizon. So I want to say we're still in good jellyfish territory, but not prime jellyfish territory, because the sky is going to be a bit brighter than it otherwise would be to produce said big jellyfish. I think prime time for sunrise jellies is around 45 minutes to an hour before sunrise, depending on the trajectory and how steeply or not steeply the rocket is lofting itself into orbit. So, in the case of Starlinks, it's not that steep, at least from our perspective here on the ground. But again, that being said, we're still a half hour away from sunrise at the current T0. And it's not going to be incredibly bright then either. So either way, assuming that we don't have any pesky clouds in the way from our perspective, it should still put on a very good show for everyone here on the east coast of Florida on the ground, if all goes well and Falcon 9 lifts off on time. So I want to say we're going to have one. I just don't know the intensity of it given the time between launch and sunrise being somewhat close. So either way, we're going to see something. I mean, obviously. But I should say either way, it's going to be really pretty because, of course, again, the sun's coming up. The sun is going to be, or the sky is going to be somewhat orange at that point and getting brighter by the minute. So fingers crossed, but I think it's going to look pretty either way. And we had a couple of more questions there, also asking about jellyfish this morning. So hopefully that answers it. But we will come back to that closer to T0. Brian, really quickly here from Johnny asking, what are the 4 towers for?
lightning protection, something that the New Glenn pad is missing a little bit of now.
Oh boy.
Which is funny because I still look at the Starship pad and wonder how they're going to do that. Because those towers have cables strung between them to help dissipate a lightning strike's energy between the we entered a hold. We'll see what their T0 is at this point. Yeah, I know. That's fun.
Oh dear.
But they dissipate the energy, and I'm really curious at what Starship's going to do, because you can't just put a couple towers around the integration tower and cable, because you're supposed to have vehicles coming back for catch, and that could slam into the cable. So I'm really curious how they're going to do it. I would assume they got to do something before they start launching from 39A. We'll just have to see what it is.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point because you don't really have that issue in Starbase where you have, or actually, I should, you don't have the issue in Starbase where you have daily thunderstorms every afternoon in the rainy season in summer, right? Which of course is ever so prominent here in Florida, as we saw probably in the last week. I mean, I wasn't here for almost a month now, crikey. But we are obviously are well into summer now here in Central Florida, and we get the daily monsoons here basically almost every afternoon. And sometimes those can be really intense thunderstorms and produce big bolts of lightning. So every single launch pad here on both the Kennedy Space Center and the Cape Canaveral Space Force Station all have their own sets of lightning protection. So obviously here at pad 40, that's the 4 towers. Oh, poor pad 36 there on the right-hand side of your screen now from Cape Cam. Oh, just now with the singular lightning tower there right behind the hangar there, sticking up right in the middle. Oh, goodness gracious. Poor 36, man. I
By
still
the
can't get...
way,
Go ahead.
we got a new T0.
Yes, we do.
Instead of 4:53 a.m., it is 5:01 and 50 seconds is the new T0. So we're at T minus 46:44 right now. So we're counting down. Just a slight delay. Could be because of um, technical something, or it could be booster recovery weather. Who knows? It could be one or the two.
Yep.
Either way, it's only a very slight delay. It's nothing major like it was yesterday.
No.
But yeah.
Yeah, nothing really to worry about. Even though we're already, oh gosh, what is it? We're already about halfway through the launch window this morning with that T0. That being said, though, the launch window goes all the way until 8 a.m. So if SpaceX should need it, they still have a couple more hours left in the window to get Falcon 9 off the ground this morning. Were my eyes deceiving me there? Was there a flare stack going at 36?
I think I think it's the hydrogen one that was running, or I know it was the methane one. I know the hydrogen one is all the way by the site for their pad B.
Okay.
And the methane one is a little bit closer to the pad. The methane tank farm one is closer to the pad, and then they have another one set on the other side of the pad, or kind of really two others set on the side of the pad for hydrogen and methane. They love their flare stacks, for whatever
they do.
reason. SpaceX doesn't use a single one for any of their Starship pads. The only flare stack SpaceX has is an internal one at Massey's. So like it's not an open flame; it's kind of enclosed partially.
They have one at McGregor, don't they?
They use it. Well, I'm talking launch pads. Or
Oh, I see.
I guess yeah. If you want to call it like testing sites too, they do have them at McGregor as well. But I I've seen them. I've seen the methane drains off of the tower and the surface structure, and I always wonder why they don't just route those to a flare stack off to the side, because I think it would look really cool to have for Starship to have a flare stack. But here we are.
That would be pretty sick. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
See a big old flare stack over at 39, right in plain view of our cameras here. I mean, seeing Starship over there alone is gonna be insane enough, but having a big old flare stack over there would be, I think, as amazing as it would be alarming to see just a big old flame over there in such close proximity to a vehicle as large as Starship is. So, but hopefully we find out how that looks exactly at 39 before the end of this year. Starship Flight 12, of course, didn't go perfectly, and I think that will affect the timeline and trajectory for Starship for the rest of this year, ever so slightly in terms of what SpaceX wants to do with boosters and ships with upcoming missions, but nothing catastrophic. Of course, I think Flight 12 overall went pretty well, all things considered. I think the only real maybe disappointment there was booster performance. But again, not end of the world as everything currently stands. But alas, the clock keeps ticking down this morning for the Starlink 10-43 mission from Space Launch Complex 40 and Falcon 9 getting ready to come into a very critical area of the countdown, Ryan. What can we expect in the next 5 or so minutes as the timeline progresses?
So at T minus 38 minutes, the SpaceX launch director will verify go for propellant load. And then at T minus 35 minutes is when they start loading RP1 onto the vehicles. They'll load them onto both because they don't need it as sub-chill to say LOX. They can kind of cool a little bit, but you can't cool it too much because you'll freeze RP1 solid. I think it's like minus 160 degrees Fahrenheit, and LN2 is pretty cold, so it can do it if you actually try to. Then as well at T minus 35 minutes, you get first stage LOX load. And then at T minus 20 minutes, 20 seconds or so is the transporter erector vent, as we like to call it. That is the chill down vent for the TE. It helps bring the temperatures of the TE down further than they were already going down, so they can do second stage LOX loading at T minus 16 minutes. And then you get T minus 7 minutes. You have Falcon 9 begins engine chill. And then T minus 1 minute, the command of the flight computer to begin final launch checks. And then the propellant tanks pressurize to their flight pressures. T minus 45 seconds is launch director verifies goes for launch. And then, at T minus 3 seconds, the all 9 Merlin engines ignite, ramp up to full power, clamps release, and it goes.
At least, hopefully, that's how it goes. We still have a bit of time left before we see that now, about 41 minutes and change. But we are not far off from that critical point in the countdown where LD will verify or not verify if both vehicle and ground systems are go for propellant load. We do not have access to internal SpaceX feeds, so we won't have any audible confirmation if that happens or not. We will only see visual confirmation of that around the T minus 31 minute marker, or maybe 32 minute marker, when we see some frost developing on the bottom of Falcon 9's first stage LOX tank, because of course that is all we can see with these pesky bushes in the way of our perspective here at the press site in pad 40. But alas, the countdown will keep ticking, and hopefully we see frost in about 10 minutes time or so on Falcon 9 for a 601 T0. AM T0, I should say. Gonna hit a couple of more questions here that, actually, Ryan, so there are a few questions here that will get us into some good conversation here. First, that TS STEM nerd asking, or rather stating, I should say, I see it as SpaceX showing their transition from Falcon to Starship as movement of assets from the former to the latter, being an increased trust in the new generation of vehicles. And I think the question here or statement here is referring to previous comments that were being said about Falcon 9 being kind of ramped down in cadence and hopefully putting a lot more invested into Starship coming online operationally in the near future. Yes, and I think there's also a bit of heavy risk there, pun not intended, I promise.
I don't.
Go ahead.
I don't think it's trust in the new vehicles. I'm going to be entirely honest with you. I think it's SpaceX rolling the dice and hoping and praying that Block 3 works as they want Starship to work exactly. Which is rapidly, fully reusable, bringing both vehicles back, being able to turn around quickly, and increase the cadence of Starship beyond anything Falcon could dream of. But to get even 100 launches a year for Starship, that's not happening for several years anyways. There's no such thing as you just flip a switch and cadence just goes up. That it takes a while to ramp it up as you build vehicles. You start refurbishment, you master that, and you keep going. It takes a bit to ramp to that point. It'll take a while for them to even ramp to Falcon 9 cadence levels. It's them throwing a lot of money and hope into Starship that it works as they want it to. Basically, Starship has not proved itself yet, not even remotely. It has had its up and downs over its 12 flight tests so far. The ships have looked very promising. However, we have no idea the state of that heat shield for multiple flights. I wouldn't be surprised if 39 could have definitely flown another time heat shield looked good enough from, drone cameras and everything like that, that I wouldn't have been surprised if they could have touched up that heat shield and flown it again. I don't know about another time after that, or what structurally how the ship was. It probably was fine, but I would say it could have at least flown another. Booster 19 obviously couldn't have. It had a couple of blown up engines.
Yeah.
But I think it'll be interesting to see when Starship really takes off here, and we have
Are we seeing another
hold in the
hold?
count.
Oh,
Yeah,
dear.
apparently.
Okay.
SpaceX, come on, SpaceX.
Come on. Oh boy. I think SpaceX is trying to launch as close to sunrise as possible now. Ooh, actually, if I look out over the horizon now, I'm just seeing the first bits or warmth of twilight beginning to lap over the horizon now, and in the sky is more of a navy blue as compared to an inky black, like it is, of course, in the dead of night. So we'll have to wait and see when a new T0. Oh, here we go. New T0 has been announced. There we go. 6:26 looks like AM local time. So right after sunrise. Oh, that's gonna be pretty. Okay. Wow. I'm a fan of that. Yes, please. More of that, please.
So this will be a jellyfish, very likely. So
well,
we waited long enough.
Well, with that T0 now, the sun will be above the horizon, so any real possibility of a full-on jellyfish there is unfortunately gone at that point. Because, of course, the sun is up and the sky is super bright, and there won't be anything for the exhaust gases of Falcon 9's upper stage, or first stage, for that matter, as well, to contrast against. And that's what, of course, the effect is the light hitting the exhaust particulates from the Merlin or Merlins of Falcon 9 and lighting them up against a darker sky. And of course that's what gives you that visual. So yeah, I think with that we can say goodbye to this morning's jellyfish attempt. But of course, with the sun being just above the horizon there, it's going to be pretty on a whole different level because of course the sky will be orange. And the skies, as far as my Mark 1 eyeballs can tell above my head, are still currently seeing a lot of stars. And of course, as I was just saying, the sky beginning to get a little bit brighter as the sun begins to come up, as you can now see on your screens from our cameras here at the KSC press site. It's still going to be a really pretty one this morning, folks. Stick around. As you can see from one of our fleet cams now as well in Port Canaveral. Oh, I feel so bad. So that ship or that tugboat on the lower left-hand side of your screen is, of course, Harvey Stone, Blue Origin's recovery vessel, which pulls around Jacqueline, which is their New Glenn first stage recovery vessel, which won't be used again for a little bit. Unfortunately, they were just getting ready to head out for the NG4 mission, which was supposed to launch today. Actually, my goodness, it's supposed to be today. But unfortunately, we all know what happened last week. So unfortunately, New Glenn not flying anytime soon. Go ahead.
If you want to see Falcon 9 cadence up, and if Amazon wants to get their Leo sats going, just lend Jacqueline to SpaceX, and Falcon 9 will fly Amazon Leo flights, and they can exclusively land on Jacqueline from the Amazon Leo flights. Boom, done. Solved.
I mean, they already
get your Amazon Leo sats in space, and Jacqueline can get used.
I mean, Jacqueline also already has Starlink on board as well.
So why not?
We've seen Starlink dishes on board Jacqueline, so that's just an observation, folks. It's just an observation. As the countdown continues here, though, obviously resetting to the current 6:26 teaser. Looks like 6:26 a.m. and 30 seconds looks like to be the exact T0 right now, given the countdown where it's at. But I think there's more to hit on with this question that's still on screen, if we can touch on this a bit more. Because obviously scaling Falcon 9 and scaling Starship are two entirely different tasks altogether. SpaceX now has over a decade of experience with Falcon 9 and, of course, with Falcon 9 landings, with the first Falcon 9 landing and recovery being the Orbcomm 2 mission in December of 2015, now almost 11 years ago. So But again, that's that's a medium lift orbital class vehicle compared to a super heavy lift vehicle the size of Starship and a booster the size of a fully stacked Falcon 9. And of course, requiring entirely different launch and assembly infrastructure. Yeah, there's a lot more here to break down, but at the same time, you could also choose to look at this through the lens of think back to Falcon 1. Falcon 1 had only flown one time successfully on its fourth attempt, and SpaceX began to transition right to Falcon 9. And mind you, Falcon 1 only had one more operational flight beyond that. Like, so Falcon 1 only flew 5 times before pivoting to Falcon 9. And look at how that worked out for them. Granted, there wasn't anything to Falcon 9 wasn't exactly, well, Falcon 1 wasn't it was technically operational, but only flew once operationally, and there wasn't really that much in the way in terms of a stopgap there. I mean, the cadence just wasn't there, and SpaceX wasn't flying enough for it to matter that much. But retiring Falcon 9, when it's already
not really retiring it.
Ramping it down, I should say.
There's still like Crew Dragon, Cargo Dragon, NSSL, because like Starship is all they're doing with Starship between Starship and Falcon 9, and why they're ramping down Falcon 9 is all the Starlink missions for Falcon 9 are just going to go to Starship because Starship is using a much more upgraded version of Starlink. The V3 sats have far more capability than the V2 minis, and they want to start using that to flesh out the network and replace their older sats. And basically they need to that's where they need to kick it in. NSSL launches, so national security space launches, crewed launches, and customer payloads are something Starship can't do for a while.
Yeah.
Number one, they don't have a cargo variant with opening doors for larger sats. Number two, they don't have enough launches or successful orbital attempts under their belt for NSSL, and they're nowhere close to being able to launch with crew on board during a launch because they don't have a launch abort system, so they need to make sure that rocket is perfect before they put anyone on board during a launch. So there's a lot of things that Falcon 9 can still do that Starship can't do for a while.
Right.
So they'll work in tandem. It's just a lot of the cadence for Falcon 9 was Starlink, and with Starlink, at this point it's like, okay, well, the V2 mini constellation's kind of filled out a lot, so let's try to focus more resources to our Starship so we can get that part of the constellation going, and we don't really care about V2 minis anymore, basically.
I mean, it's kind of like throwing off the gloves and seeing what Starship is really made of at this point. Because obviously to get done what SpaceX wants to get done in terms of Starlink version 3, other commercial obligations with both Crew and other payloads, Artemis, and of course all the massive talk about the numerous AI data centers in orbit, Starship needs to work. Like, SpaceX does not have an option. Starship needs to work. And a big part of that is getting the Florida launch site or launch sites operational as soon as possible, because of course we have 39A coming online hopefully by the end of this year, and then Space Launch Complex 37 still being under active construction at the moment, with the first tower hopefully about to go up somewhat soon. So if you guys heard that weather announcement or that announcement from KSC in general there, sounds like a wind advisory has just been terminated from KSC, which is good news. That could have been what was holding up Falcon 9 at this point. So although we don't have any official word on that so far. But actually, speaking of weather really quickly, I believe we have D on comms with us right now. D, can you talk a bit about the weather this morning and how Falcon 9 is expected to perform in said weather?
Yeah, so actually locally, the weather is looking really good for the launch. Yesterday, of course, it was rainy and windy and cloudy, and it was basically all the things that you didn't want for a launch. But today, locally, everything's really good. There is a At the last issued forecast from the 45th Weather Squadron, it is 95% go. And the only thing they were really looking at was the cumulus cloud rule, which they gave a 5% probability of violation. So that steady state wind advisory that we heard terminated was for 18 knots. I personally would doubt that that was the cause of the delays that we have seen thus far. However, not factored into that 95% is the booster recovery weather, which was listed as low to moderate. And I've been trying to look around at some of the buoys in the general vicinity of the recovery area. And while it's a long way away, the closest one I could find downrange is seeing around 17 knots steady state and like 21 to 22 knots of gusting wind. And it's also seeing almost 9-foot waves. It was like 9.2 feet earlier. Now it's like a bit under 9 feet. So if
Oof.
I had to speculate, I'd say it's that booster recovery weather that SpaceX is trying to wait for. However, like it it's slowly moving in the right direction. The data off the buoys out in the ocean is a bit delayed. It's only every like 10 minutes or so. So we'll have to wait and see. Of course, SpaceX will have their even more accurate, up-to-date data of the exact location. But if I were to speculate, I would say that they are adjusting around that booster recovery weather, but they expect that it might be able to clear up later this window.
Yeah, 9-foot swells is not exactly ideal for landing a booster the size of Falcon 9 out in the ocean. We all saw what happened, of course, to booster 1058 and two others, of course, being lost at sea due to them falling over off the drone ship. Big swells and tall waves are not something that you want to exactly combat with because you're not always guaranteed to win that battle, especially the bigger the waves get. And SpaceX has criteria for what is too big for Falcon 9 to try and land in, although we don't have exactly the number that could be. But I want to say it's between, I'm just spitballing here. I want to say it's in between probably the 6 to 8 foot marker before it gets too extreme to try and land in.
And I bet the period of those waves also has something
Yes.
to play into it, because if they're currently at the buoy I was looking at, which again isn't the exact location, it's just close-ish. Uh, those It was roughly 9-foot waves were coming about every 6 seconds. If those extended and they were every 10 seconds, maybe that'd be a bit more favorable. They'd be able to predict it a little bit more. But the faster the period of those waves, no doubt the more difficult executing any sort of landing. So I have no clue how precise SpaceX's calculations are on what makes the wave okay, but I'd bet all of that sort of factors into their decision on moving around the T0.
Just expend the booster, right?
It's still got plenty of life left though, Ryan. It's only done 11
I
flights
had
so
to.
far.
I had to.
There are times and places to be expending boosters, but I think a Starlink mission, well, hopefully, is not the place to start. But once they do end up ramping down Falcon 9 to a point where they'll have more boosters than they need, it makes you wonder what they're going to do with them. Either just fly them and expend them, send some to museums, a mixture of both. I don't know. But Falcon 9 still has a lot of life in it, and we expect it to be flying in some way, shape, or form for probably. Actually, I want to get both D and Ryan your guys' takes on this. How long is Falcon 9 going to be flying in general, do you think? Or how much longer? Ryan, you go first.
Uh, even NSSL or even smaller crewed missions with Crew Dragon, I think it's going to go into the mid 2030s even. Because I think crew rating Starship straight off is going to take a bit. I don't think crew rating Starship is going to happen until like 2032 or later, or something along those lines. Not till like the first like crewed launches to maybe the moon or Mars. It's going to be a bit, which also brings into cases they'll crew rate Starship whenever oh man, now I forget his name. He was the commander for the for Fram 2. He's doing he's doing that
Jun
moon
Wang.
then Mars flyby, and he was also looking at a Venus Mars flyby and back to Earth. I saw a post about that too. He was also looking into that, which is nuts. That would be a really, really cool crewed mission to see done.
It
And
would be.
Starship can do it if you do it right. You use gravity to your advantage, gravity assist or brakings. You can do it, and it has to happen at a specific time to do. But I think those are going to be your first few crewed missions. Originally, it was going to be the Polaris mission, one of the Polaris missions, but Jared's a bit busy at this point. We don't know if he could go back and do those because there's a very solid chance he doesn't stay. There's a chance he doesn't stay admin when the next administration comes in. But there's also a chance that he does because he has worked with both sides. So there's a chance he stays, but we'll see. I think there's going to be a lot that depends on whether or not Jared stays at that. But I wouldn't be surprised if after he's done with that, maybe he goes back or maybe he doesn't and tries another Polaris mission or something.
I don't think he's going to be short of things to do, regardless of what trajectory he opts to take in the next 3 to 4 years or so. Whenever this current admin is finished with this term, yeah, I think he's going to be a busy man regardless. I think that much is fair to say. Oh man, the sky's really beginning to light up here with some color and some light here in the background, as you can see on certainly on the left camera, but also on the right camera a bit as well, as the sun is beginning to creep closer and closer to the horizon on the east coast of Florida this morning. So, yes, I think if all goes well and the current T0 holds and the winds in the LZ remain favorable. Oh, well, become favorable, I should say. And we could be in for a rather pretty show with Falcon 9 launching literally just after sunrise, which would be quite the sight to see. Ooh, a really good question here from Terrence asking, do the payload fairings have any controls or is it just free falling into a general area? Ryan, go.
They have canisters for a little bit of RCS, and they also have a parafoil coming back in. I'm still reminded of the elevator music catching video that we got. How long ago was that?
Oh gosh. Yeah.
Back when they tried catching those fairings, it turned out they didn't really want to keep doing that for reasons. We'll go with that.
Mystery and mischief.
Yeah, so they let them drop into the water and they pick them out now, but they can basically control themselves and whatnot. It's not like they're completely ballistic. They have some form of control to go down in a generalized area. So,
yeah, it's unique because the fairings aren't just these sort of passive systems that just fall blindly back into the atmosphere. They have their own onboard avionics and control systems to orient themselves correctly to re-enter Earth's atmosphere. And then, of course, they have their own parachutes to deploy for a soft splashdown in the ocean for recovery and reflight. So they are in their own little ways, their own little spacecraft and their own vehicles, which is really, really cool. Because on every other vehicle, the fairings just fall back in the ocean or fall back through the atmosphere in our disposed of. They're never to be seen or heard from again, let alone reflown. But that is what go ahead.
Because I know Blue Origin had talked about it.
Yes.
I wonder if with this extra downtime, I wonder if they implement fairing recovery as a part of return to flight.
Well,
they got the time to figure it out. They got the time to figure it out and add the systems to the fairings. I wonder if they try something like around maybe on the return to flight mission or around return to flight, because they're about to spend like Blue Origin's got a lot of money. They've got Jeff Bezos, but they are about to spend a considerable amount of money on rebuilding a launch pad plus redesigning a lot of things. As we've seen from their posts, they want to try to vertically integrate OTE, which means QD arms, which means money
Yep.
for processes, money for new other stuff. They can take things from an older pad from the pad they were just building that'll help, but then they got to rebuild it for that pad too for the 36B, I should say.
Yep.
So they're about to spend a boatload of money. Maybe they'll be like, with this downtime, let's try to solve this too. Why not? They have the manpower. They have the manpower to do it. So,
I mean,
I wonder.
it's just like SpaceX at Massey's when Ship 36 also threw its big temper tantrum over there and blew up. They didn't send a single ship back to Massey's until Ship 39 for cryo. Well, for I should say for a static fire until Ship 39 because they took the time after that to redesign and reconfigure Massey's for version 3 ships beyond Ship 36, which was still version 2 and required a whole different sets of hardware compared to version 3. So downtime like this, as unfortunate as it is, considering why they have this downtime, is a great opportunity to really take a deeper look at what they have and what they want to achieve in the near and long term and how they can get there from a hardware standpoint. So I think we are probably going to see a lot of cool things coming from New Glenn and Blue Origin before the end of the year, assuming they do end up flying before the year is up, as Dave Lim, CEO, who is CEO of Blue Origin, has said that they want to do, and that they want to fly again before the end of the year. So lofty goal for sure. We will see how they end up pulling that off. But we certainly wish them all the best because that unfortunate explosion on the pad was just about worst case scenario in terms of mission readiness and your ability to fly at all. But yes, we certainly hope for the best, and we will see what they do. But actually, Dave released a video. I think going back to the original point here of fairings, Dave released this video from a camera on board the fairings from NG3. And you can see how much they are flopping around. Like in New Glenn, mind you, has the biggest fairings of any rocket in the world currently flying. It's like it's flapping its wings right now, borderline.
You can negate that and add the systems to recover those. I mean, the biggest other thing is adding that to the fairings is it's extra mass, so you have less payload capacity, but they're also probably going to be upgrading New Glenn over the course of this the weight here as well. So you go ahead and add that as well, and having the ability to recover those fairings would be a huge win for Blue, to recover them and reuse them. I assume they'll do it at some point, but maybe it'll be closer to return to flight than we think because they got time now to figure it out more. So might as well just do it.
I mean, in a way, their own size, like it works with them. I think the fact that they're already the biggest operational fairings flying in the world right now is both a feat in itself, but that is a lot of surface area to help and try to help decelerate these fairings through the atmosphere. It's not like Falcon 9s, which are already pretty big, but still have to go through some reentry heating of sorts and also deal with the parachutes again.
All right.
But that's a lot more surface area to try and slow these fairings down to a slow enough speed to try and keep these things intact when they do eventually come in contact with the ocean. And because you saw in that footage, it was in mostly, from what we could tell, one piece, or at least one very large piece, when it splashed down again in the Atlantic Ocean. So in a way, the size of these fairings is working with them in terms of being reusable. So we'll have to end up and see what I almost said SpaceX, what Blue ends up doing in that front. But again, they have some time now to figure that out, and New Glenn certainly will come out of this.
And
What?
No.
Are you waiting to see
we're like right at the
clock changes
time.
done?
We're like right at the time where they were holding in the past. I'm waiting to see if they do it again, or
mean,
if we actually go past T-minus 38 minutes and they verify go for prop load.
I mean, we just
Oh.
crossed it. We just
Oh.
crossed it.
Maybe.
Clock's still rolling. Maybe. So I think the reason why it's reset a few times now at that mark is when SpaceX will either verify if the vehicle and ground systems are go or no go for propellant load, and of course if they verify all is go for prop load and they commence prop load, they are then committed to that T0 because they do not have the resources or the ability really to recycle the vehicle or ground systems for another attempt in the window, despite the window being 4 hours long. But at this point, with the current T0 of 6:26 a.m., they are now well past the halfway point of the window, which goes until 8 a.m. local time here on the east coast of Florida. But we crossed that ever so important T-minus 38-minute mark. So, and the clock's still rolling. So fingers crossed that we get a launch here in just about 36 minutes or 37 minutes time now. And we should begin to see frost forming on the bottom of the first stage LOX tank in roughly 5 minutes time. So fingers crossed. Oh God, Jay with a really bad pun in the back channel. So you're telling me there's a chance? Oh gosh, I find that incredibly poetic because Dave Limp confirmed on social media on X that the booster that was in the hangar being so you're telling me there's a wait no yes no my mind is blanking right now yes so you're no it's never tell me the odds that's the one that flew
you're telling me there's a chance was the first booster they ever flew.
Yes, and unfortunately, it was not recovered for a landing on that first attempt, even though they tried. Yes, my mind is blanking right now. It is almost 6 a.m. here local time, and I didn't get any sleep last night. So bear with me, folks. It's a very early morning, but yeah, I still find that incredibly poetic. The booster names that they use, and of course, given the circumstances for which they have now undergone to get back into service. What a timeline that we live in. Yeah, and G4 became kind of ironic, didn't it? No, it's necessary.
Yeah.
Yeah. But kind of like I was saying on the Flame Trench last week, like maybe no, it's necessary becomes poetic in its own because maybe Blue needed this kick to start other programs related to later versions of New Glenn, and for the U.S.'s space program with Artemis to get things going even faster, or to try and cooperate with other launch service providers to meet the current timelines. I don't know. Like there's a whole bunch of different avenues that Blue could take here to try and get Mark 1 where it needs to go with the first phase of the newly established moon base plans. So we'll have to wait and see, as we so often say.
Well, we're under T-minus 35.
We are.
If they are into prop load, that means they are going one way or the other. Either they launch or they don't today. If they are into prop load now, that's where they're at. Either they go or they don't. So I like that. Let's just go.
It is promising, the fact that the clock is still running. I mean, we would have known by now if they weren't. Because obviously, if they go into prop load now, again, as we were saying earlier, they are committed to the current T0 of 6:26 and change a.m. local time here on the east coast of Florida. So fingers crossed, we should see frost in roughly 3 to 4 minutes time. I want to wake chat up here really quick, all. For everyone watching right now, I want to see in chat where everyone's watching from. I know it's the saying that Chris says, "I've gone mad with power," but I genuinely want to see where everyone is watching from this morning, because this is going to be a rather spectacular one. Okay, here we go. Chat's going. Toronto, the UK, Australia. Oh wow, I can't even keep up. Holy crap! Oh God, I can't keep up. Goodness gracious. Minneapolis, Germany, Atlanta, South Africa, Lakeland, Florida, Romania, Sweden, Cocoa Beach, Oregon, y'all. New Zealand, nice. Very special connection there. Houston, Germany again, New York, Switzerland. Nice, y'all. Very, very good. Yeah, Chris saying I've gone mad with power in the back channel. Yes, Chris, I have gone indeed mad with power, as you like to say. I take inspiration from you, sir. But it is so inspiring to see everyone watching from such a breadth of locations here. That is wonderful. And y'all support is why we end up being able to come back and bring y'all the coverage that we do, because we would not have any of this without y'all. So thank you very much for everyone watching, and hopefully we can deliver a Falcon 9 launch for you here in about 33 minutes time. Y'all are the best. Did you see was there a chopper back there, Ryan? I didn't see it. Jay is saying that there's a range heli in all caps.
Yeah, I think there was a range heli there. Yeah.
There was, okay. You should see it flying back and forth through the frame once in a while, just surveying the area, making sure there aren't any wayward boats, wayward swimmers, or just unwanted people or items in the keep out zone, of course, because that would be very bad. That would indeed halt the countdown for the day if that is not cleared in time, which we have unfortunately seen before with cruise ships, boats.
I will never forgive the cruise ship on NG2. Never.
So ironically, that well, I mean that didn't S word. I almost had the S word there. That didn't S word the launch. That just ruined our view. A cruise ship did actually S word a launch. S being SCRUB. I'm not going to say the word. It's bad. It's bad juju. I'm not going to say it. A cruise ship did end up canceling a launch before. It was oh my gosh, I just had the name. Oh God, it was in January of 2022.
It was like an Italian?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, what was it?
I don't remember the name off of it. I only remember it because our very our who used to work for us,
Cosmo SkyMed.
Yeah, who's now in SpaceX. Trevor went down there to see it, and it got scrubbed a few times.
Oh, Ryan, you just said the word.
Oh, I said the word. It was about another launch though, so it's fine.
Gosh, it doesn't matter. You still said it on stream, Ryan. Curses.
You can blame me. It's fine.
I'll blame you.
I have reverse curses. Remember?
No, that only works if somebody else says it to cancel it, which I'm not planning on doing that.
Oh.
It has to be au naturel, you see. But that was the Cosmo SkyMed Gen 2 mission. What?
That's just okay.
Oh God, off the rails already. Even though we've been live for, what is it, an hour now? Good grief.
Well, I mean, yeah, they kicked the can down the road a few times here, so yeah, we kind of had to kill some time there, waiting for SpaceX to be like, yeah, let's launch.
Yeah. Oh, Jay says he sees frost on the first stage tank structure there. Is there any way to enhance the feed there, Jay? And snap your fingers. Hey, enhance. There is noticeable, more noticeable white on the booster than was there before.
Yeah.
And I can see vapor. There just on the right-hand side of that, white splodge there on the booster. So if we are able to confirm that is frost, that is our visual confirmation that propellant load of Falcon 9 is currently underway, and they are committed to the current T0 of 6:26 a.m. local time. Ryan, go.
I like someone in chat here. I think it's like Psycho over here is saying this launch has had 2 holds and 9-foot waves near the landing area. It ain't going to be Ryan's fault. Thank you.
No,
my fault. So, didn't go. Thank you.
Plot twist.
Thanks
the
for
9-foot waves and winds are still your fault. Therefore,
it's my fault. Those are my fault. Am I God now? I can control the weather.
You have angered the gods of launch.
Dude, can I control the weather? That'd be cool.
I thought you did, though, to be honest. I thought you were the controller of weather.
Oh. No. Unfortunately, I'm not.
Dang it. I thought you were. Oh, well. Morning ruined. Morning absolutely ruined. As we can see, frost still rising on Falcon 9, always a positive sign. Ooh, this is a really good question here from Sod, and I want to ask this to you, Ryan. Do we know the Falcon Heavy configuration for the Roman telescope launch?
I will have to double check that one, to be honest with you. I don't remember it off the top of my head. I
If
am
if memory
pretty sure it's
serves,
RTLS.
if memory serves, someone fact check me. I think this is going to be the first time that they will be attempting to land all 3 cores again since Falcon Heavy Flight 3 way back in 2019. What was that?
That's
ArabSat
right.
6A?
Yeah,
I
I
think
think
no,
they
the
are.
STP2, sorry, STP2.
No, that's right. Pete's in the back channel. The Griffin lander is
Oh, that's
the
right.
3, I think.
Dang
This
it. Okay.
Roman is this one is likely to be the dual the sidecore RTLS and expend the center. Like
Okay.
most Falcon heavies have been. Um and then maybe for the Griffin lander they'll try to bring back the center core, which would be cool to see a center core finally come back in intact and not in pieces.
Technically, Ryan, it already has. It was just Booster 1091 flying as a single stick Falcon 9, which is a Falcon Heavy center core.
In Falcon Heavy configuration, there I'll say it.
There you go. There you go.
Because it has it has the attach points for the side cores and
Yes.
everything, so that'll be kind of fun to see going back into port.
And they have already successfully landed a center core. It was the Arabsat 6A center core, but that fell over off the drone ship and
Yeah.
suffered the fate of 1058, 1062, and I think what was the other one? 1080. Oh gosh, 1080 something. About a year and change ago. Yes. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. But I want to say Roman may end up being a double RTLS for the side cores and then expending the center core as we have become so used to. Otherwise, they have flown a fully expendable Falcon Heavy twice now. One for the Europa Clipper mission, which launched one day after Starship Flight 5. And then it was the Viasat 3 Americas mission, which launched in April of 2023. So they have flown 2 expendable Falcon Heavies, and every other one that has since launched from October of 2022, which was Flight 4, or the first flight after 3 years, to now has been a double RTLS and while expending the center core. So it's going to be interesting to see how that one plays out. But I think that is what Roman is going to end up being. But Griffin is going to be freaking wicked, man. I cannot wait to see that. Hopefully, so we should have 3 more Falcon Heavy flights for this year. I want to say there's one for the National Reconnaissance Office in August. There's of course the Roman Space Telescope also in August. And then hopefully Griffin at some point in Q4. I want to say that's October, November, somewhere in there. According to Next Space Flight, I'll have to recheck that one again. But I think we have 3 more Falcon Heavies left on the manifest for 2026, which is always exciting. Clear this one from the queue. The sun continuing.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Griffin is net November.
November. Okay.
You've got Roman Space, which is August. And then I think everything else is, at least on Next Space Flight, is showing net 27. So you got the Astrobotic Mission 3.
Yep.
USSF 75, NRO 97, USSF 174, 186, 155, NRL 86, USSF 63 are all set up for that. Of course, the ExoMars Rosalind Franklin rover, that's like net October 2028. Then you have, then the other one on here is Dragonfly, which will be a really cool mission when that goes.
Oh, yeah.
And then, of course, missions that aren't on the schedule yet because they don't have a lifter, which would be Axiom's space station modules, could either use Falcon Heavy, or if New Glenn is good enough for those LEO launches, New Glenn could be used, assuming it's up and running again. Any kind of Haven modules or anything could definitely go up there. On Falcon Heavy, there's other things the Falcon Heavy could be used for, but there's still a decent amount of missions in the manifest for it. But 39A is set. It's set to still launch Falcon Heavy because they don't have any other pad to launch it. But they're set to like really, really push the envelope and try to get a bunch of Starship launches out of 39A. So.
Yeah, and it's worth noting also the FSS, or the fixed service structure over there, which is that smaller black tower on the left-hand side of the left-hand picture there. The crew access arm has been removed, so they could, in theory, still support single-stick Falcon 9 operations there if they need to, but they can no longer support crew or cargo dragon over there with the lack of the crew access arm, which is. Again, that puts all the weight of crew flights now over on Pad 40, which had its crew access tower completed back in 2024, with the first crewed flight being Crew 9 in I think that was August of 2024 as well. Now that's Pad 40 is the one that they have to rely on for Dragon, whether it be crew or cargo, which is kind of bizarre because 40 prior to Crew 9 had never flown crew before. Like that pad has never seen crew before, which is really strange. But yeah, it's nice to know that there is still some Falcon Heavy left on the manifest, but it is still kind of a rare beast despite how long the manifest is right now. Prior to the last month's or April's flight, we hadn't seen Falcon Heavy since October of 2024, being the launch of the Europa Clipper mission, which was about a 1.5 year gap between flights. And the biggest gap before that was 3 years between Falcon Heavy Flight 3, which was the STP-2 mission, and the USSF 44 mission, which launched a few weeks before Artemis 1 back in October of 2022. So, rare beast to see fly, which is why it is always so special, but it is certainly not Falcon 9 in terms of launch cadence. And I'm trying I don't know if I can pause or like try and stall for 25 more seconds, but Ryan, we are coming up on a pretty important milestone in the countdown right now. What are we about to see in about 15 seconds from now or so?
The chill down, the nice big vent for chill down of the transporter erector, which is to help finish off chilling down the LOX line on the TE in order to facilitate LOX loading of the second stage. And depending on the wind, we should see it any second now. Here. It might be like right behind the tower though, and the wind might be perfect. Like I can partially see it kind of behind
the tower there, yeah.
Oh, it's
coming through the tower.
Yeah, it's going through the tower.
Look at that. That is awesome. You know, honestly, it is also pretty calm this morning, which is why that made it somewhat difficult to see. Because if there's no wind to blow that cloud around, there's really no way for us to really tell without any live cameras at the launch pad itself, which we really only have for crew and cargo missions, and also Cygnus as well from Pad 40. But nonetheless, there is evidence that prop load is continuing aboard Falcon 9. That is also a visual indicator that Stage 2 RP1 load is complete, and they are about to commence with Stage 2 LOX load, or liquid oxygen load, here in about 2.5 minutes. So all things are progressing or trending in the right direction as it stands now. And the sky, oh goodness gracious, I'm looking out to my east now over pad 39A actually, and there is a ton of colorful clouds in that direction, which is lovely to see. Sunrises can be some of the prettiest here on the Space Coast, and this morning certainly is no exception. And Falcon 9 should be launching just a few minutes after, a few minutes after sunrise as well. So it should be a nice, good morning wake-up call for a bunch of people here on the Space Coast of Florida and the surrounding areas. Ooh, there's a few. I just had a great question here in the queue and I lost it. Dang it. Here we go. I'm sorry to laugh at this name. I really am. But Drama for Your Mama is, I'm not even joking. That's the name. That's the name. Is asking, can SpaceX put Raptor 3 on Falcon 9 for more efficiency, or will it be an entirely different rocket? Ryan, you can explain that. You can explain the answer to that question better than I ever could.
It's a different rocket. Like you would have to redesign the entire vehicle to accept that engine. Well, for one, they use different propellants. So Falcon 9's tanks are ratioed for using LOX and RP1, so the Care-LOX mixture. That ratio is more equal than, say, running Methylox, which is and for Starship, that's about a 3.6 to 1 ratio for LOX to methane. It's much closer together when you have RP1 and LOX. Or it's a different ratio, I should say. It's a different ratio. So the tank ratios would have to change. That's number one. Number two, the mounting, which already completely redesigns your rocket. The mounting points on Falcon 9 would have to be upgraded for Raptor 3 because there's a significant amount more thrust than a single Merlin. Even if you were to put, say, 4 R3s or maybe 5, I don't know if you'd have enough room even on the lower part of Falcon 9. You might have to make it wider in order to accept maybe like 5 5 R3s, which would make Falcon 9 incredibly powerful because you only need about 3 R3s to hit the thrust of Falcon 9 for that matter. And that's in its current 250 ton praise. That's not even getting it to 280 tons, or they want to get the Raptor 3 too. If you want to change the second stage, I mean, putting an RVAC on that, you would need I would take up most of the interstage. You probably need a wider interstage. You have to change tank volumes again as well. Right now, a single Merlin MVAC engine does about 1,000 newtons, or what is it? I think it's almost a kilonewton. It's about 1,000 kilonewtons, so almost about a meganewton worth of thrust, give or take. It's kind of in that range. On a single RVAC is like 2.7 meganewtons. It's like it'd be like almost like 285 or 275 tons of thrust, give or take. 285. It's somewhere around that range is what they've got R3 at the moment. So that's a significant increase in thrust for your second stage. So you have to build your second stage up to be able to accept that thrust, which means you have to redesign your entire second stage, your tank volume, stringers, structural reinforcement, all that other stuff. Basically, it's not Falcon anymore. It's a new rocket. At that point, you're almost building a Zenit first stage with how much power you have behind the first stage, although it's even more powerful than that.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
You know how much power even if you put 4 R3s down there, you know how much power that is?
That's a lot.
Right now there's 9 Merlin engines down there, and they're about 850 kilonewtons per engine. If you put 4 R3s down there, that's like 2.5 meganewtons per engine.
Like it's one thing to re-engineer Falcon to run on methane compared to RP1, which would end up being a sort of Chinese ZQ3-esque rocket, which is already kind of like Falcon 9 in the way it's engineered and structured, but it runs on methane instead of RP1. But I think at that point as well, the Merlin 1Ds themselves would also need to be heavily re-engineered, if not completely redone, to accept the different flow rates of that methane would require. Not to mention the fact that the Merlin 1Ds operate on an open combustion cycle where they just toss the gas from its gas or the exhaust from its gas generator overboard, whereas Raptor is a full flow stage combustion cycle setup, which means it has 2 separate pre-burners, which feeds both of its exhaust into the combustion chamber itself. So there is no there is no secondary exhaust going overboard. It is all being flowed into the actual combustion chamber itself. So it's far more complex. It is a far more time consuming to build, although Raptor 3 has helped a lot with that, with how much simpler it is compared to Raptor 2 and especially Raptor 1. But as like TLDR, it would be an entirely different rocket in like altogether.
Yeah.
Like it would be like a Falcon. I
don't even know if you call it Falcon.
What would you call that, Ryan?
I don't
I'm
know.
kind of curious now.
Come up for a different name for a rocket, but it ain't gonna be Falcon at that point. That's you're not. That's not even Falcon 9, or it's not even a Falcon at all. Like I think you make another name. You just built another rocket entirely with the size of something like a Falcon 9. It'd probably be a little bit bigger to have to handle some of the size of the engines and everything else. But you're basically like, yeah, it's not Falcon anymore. It just isn't. Like I don't even know what you name it, but it would be an incredibly capable rocket to say the least. That's to say something.
So Falcon 9 got its name actually because I think it was Elon's fascination with Star Wars and the Millennium Falcon. So they just took the name Falcon from that, and it's Falcon 9 because it has 9 of those Merlin 1D engines. And of
remember
course,
Falcon X or Falcon 5?
I do remember Falcon 5. Yes, and of course Falcon 1, obviously the OG. That's where SpaceX all began.
We can really get back to the weeds on that one.
How could you? Yeah, I mean, I think so. The original pivot was to go from Falcon 1 to Falcon 5, but in like I think I think teams at SpaceX had actually made good progress on Falcon 5 when Elon said nope, going right to Falcon 9. So we never did get to see Falcon 5 beyond some renders that are floating out there. But an air-launched Falcon would have been kind of cool. I'm not going to lie about that one bit. But alas. I'm curious, though, Ryan. What would you call a Falcon-esque rocket with Raptors on it? I have to know.
Falcon Block 2. That's just
Oh, that's so boring. That's so anticlimactic, man.
I can't. I'm too tired to think of a name. Maybe D is a better name. I don't know.
God, that is so anticlimactic, bro. Jeez Louise.
Yeah, I don't know unless you have something.
Oh God. I don't know if I do. The goal there was to put you on the spot, not me.
Oh.
But speaking of putting stuff on the spot, I am going to put our store team on the spot here really quick to talk about some really cool merch that we have. How about that transition, Jay? How about that transition, huh? To talk about our launch, entry, and landing collection here at shop.nasaspaceflight.com. Folks, the store is one of many ways that you can support us here at NSF to help keep the lights on, keep the coverage going, and making sure that the views that you can all see and enjoy keep on coming. Just keep on coming. As you can see, we have a wide variety of shirts, t-shirts, sweatshirts, and of course a really cool mug there. And of course, Sawyer cheesing really hard there on the right hand side of your screen, rocking that awesome t-shirt there. As you can see, there's Falcon 9. Oh, going right to Sawyer. Go back to the shirt, Jay. Go back to the shirt. There we go. I was talking about the shirt. So you can see
producing here.
I know. I'm backseat producing so hard. I know Jay and Kevin love that. You can see Falcon in its launch, re-entry, and landing configurations, hence launch, re-entry, and landing. In terms of the collection there, in terms of which engines are firing. Really cool design. Our shop team has been absolutely killing it in the last few months. And this is just one of many ways that you can support us. The others involve prints, other merch, and like our sun shirts, which I am very much a fan of. But also I am also sort of biased to plug our prints as well, because a direct cut of the sale of that print goes directly to the photographer or photographers that took the photo. And of course, there is a bunch here from the recent launch of Starship Flight 12. many of which here, I think 1, 2, 3, a few of those are mine. And also we have Tyler there as well, also the first two there on screen. Tyler has also been killing it. So feel free to check them out as well over at shop.nasaspaceflight.com to get yourself a print or some merch, whatever floats your boat there. One of many ways to support us beyond YouTube.
I figured it
Go ahead.
out. Figured it out.
What'd you figure out?
The M12L or it could be a puma. I don't know. It kind of looks like a puma. Maybe it's a big cat. Like a
I was
lion.
about to stop you and go, bro. That's way too much of a mouthful. You're trying way too hard. But also, you said warthog, and that reminds me a lot of the A10. And anything that reminds me of an A10 is immediately cool. So,
But that was also a red versus blue reference too.
the A10 reference is better. Just saying. That's just me.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm crazy. I don't know. I mean, probably a little bit. All right, Ryan, we are coming up now just over 7 minutes until T0. I think we are coming up on engine chill right now for the Merlins, exactly. Can you walk us through that and what else we can expect in the timeline before liftoff here soon?
Yeah, so they started a Merlin engine chill down on the first stage in order to make sure those engines are chilled down to the proper temperatures, because the last thing you want to do is shock cool them when you go dump a bunch of liquid oxygen through them. When you go to ignite them and then crack them and blow them to pieces. That's not really that good.
Don't want to do that.
It's not great to do that. No, you want to make sure that doesn't happen. So you would chill them down to correct temperatures before you go ahead and ignite them. Then at T-minus 1 minute, the terminal count goes in as the flight computer begins final pre-launch checks. Tanks pressurized and settles the flight pressures. T-minus 45 seconds, LD launch director verifies go for launch. And of course, T-minus 3 seconds, all the 9 Merlin engines ignite and do health checks, throttle up all the way. And then clamps release and it lifts off at T-minus 0, or T0, basically.
Which we hope to see in about 5 minutes and 45 seconds away from now. Sky is decently bright now, as you can see on this shot here from D-Wise, who is out in the field supporting camera views for us this morning. This is going to be a pretty one, folks. There's going to be a lot of color in the sky. I'm taking a quick look around now. Some pinks behind us to the west, some lighter greens and blues and yellows out to the east, where the sun will be coming up. And I'm just now realizing there's also a waning gibbous moon, also now behind my head, about 45 degrees up into the sky, which is absolutely wonderful. Beautiful morning here on the Space Coast. We expect nothing less. It is always tremendously beautiful out here, despite the fact that we are now currently in the rainy season, and it rains literally every freaking afternoon. But alas, I digress. Falcon 9 should be launching here in just under 5 minutes. Brian, have you ever seen a Falcon 9 launch in person? I forget.
Yes, I have. When I went down for
start a strong back retract.
it was originally just to go down to actually see. I think it was a pair of Falcon 9s at least, but ended up going down and seeing. I saw NG2, an Atlas 5, and 2 Falcon 9s.
I forgot you did see NG2. You lucky dog.
The NG2 is the closest one. I was the one closest because I was at Jetty. And that's where the initial liftoff got blocked by the stupid cruise ship. But the 2 Falcons and the Atlas were just off the... Oh, I forget which road that is. That's just off the bridge that goes before you go right into Port Canaveral.
528, yep.
Yeah. We just kind of pulled off. We went from the hotel, pulled off to the side with a bunch of other people, and just watched it from long range because all 3 were during the night. So that was still awesome, though. It's hilarious how much brighter Atlas is compared to a Falcon 9.
Yes,
with those solids, it was a lot of fun. So yeah, I have seen a Falcon 9. Yeah.
Fantastic. Hearing some callouts here from SpaceX Communications as Proplo begins to wrap up here on Falcon 9. You have also just seen classic Starlink plug there on the left-hand side of your screen. Wonderful. I was just about to talk about the retraction clamps there on the transporter erector that help hold Falcon 9 in place. Those have since opened, and the transporter erector should be tilting back by about a couple of degrees here shortly before throwing itself all the way back, or almost all the way back at liftoff by about 45 degrees, hopefully in about 3 minutes time. But we should also hear some comms here from SpaceX in the next few minutes. Closing out both stage 1 and stage 2 propellant loading for RP1 and LOX. I think we also heard ground gas closeouts as well, so that's a good call out. We should also be listening out for the call outs closer to 1 minute
Stage
where Falcon 9
lock
enters.
load is complete.
Right on cue. Stage 1 LOX load complete. Should hear the call out. Falcon 9 is in startup at T-minus 60 seconds and then go for launch of about 15 seconds after that. So we expect to hear SpaceX comms here for the next couple of minutes or so. So I'm gonna try and not talk over them as much as I can. But my goodness, that is a gorgeous view from pad 40 this morning. Falcon 9, one very dirty fairing, one very used fairing, and one somewhat used fairing there on the left hand side of your screen. Gorgeous morning here. I think we have pad audio here as well. I think I hear venting. Or maybe I'm hearing things. Am I hearing things? We have pad audio.
It's always possible that you're hearing things.
I mean, you are always hearing things, but
Stage
what
2
things are you
lock
hearing?
load is complete.
Stage 2 LOX load is complete. Good call out there from LD. Fantastic. Things are trending in the right direction. Falcon 9 is entering its final phases before it enters its full launch configuration. And Falcon 9 should be completely on its own here in about 30 seconds where it enters its own internal power phase. And we get the call out Falcon 9 is in startup. As a reminder, folks, our stream is about 10 or 15 seconds ahead of SpaceX's, so the comms will be a bit delayed compared to what you were hearing from them and what you were seeing on our cameras. There we go, as we hear ground gas closeouts begin. More pad audio. Fantastic to hear this. Coming up now on 8 seconds to Falcon 9 entering startup here about 1 minute before launch. Stand by for call out.
Falcon 9 has entered startup.
Very good call out there. Should be hearing a similar call out from LD that SpaceX and Falcon 9 are go for launch. Standing by for that.
LD, go for launch.
Fantastic. Falcon 9 is go for launch, folks. We are now under 30 seconds away. Just after liftoff, just as a reminder, I'm going to be going quiet here on comms so you can enjoy the roar from all 9 Merlin 1D engines in your Mark 1 or Mark 2 ears. I don't know what that was. But coming up now on T-minus 10 seconds now before liftoff now of Falcon 9 this morning. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Visible ignition, first motion, and we have liftoff. Go Falcon, go Starlink. The sound beginning to fade away here from the Kennedy Space Center press site. Falcon 9 now well on her way downrange, should be past the point of max Q or maximum aerodynamic pressure here just moments ago. Expecting MECO here in just a few seconds, followed by stage separation. Ryan, that exhaust plume expansion as it climbs higher and higher into the sky, oh, it gets me every time. I'm not going to lie. Look at that.
It's always nice. Can't wait. Always can't wait to see it on larger rockets too. It's nuts how you you try to think at how big the rocket is, and then you look to see how just expanded the exhaust plume is, and it's like that's pretty big.
And Falcon 9, more or less now, is flying it directly towards the sunlight now, obviously now well into it with how bright the exhaust trail is. Sky not the brightest right now, so there is still some contrast there, so I guess a bit of a jellyfish this morning. Still beautiful nonetheless. Here we go. There is MECO, or main engine cutoff of the first stage, now expecting stage separation and ignition of the MVAC, or vacuum optimized Merlin engine, here in a few seconds. There we have it visually.
Right through a cloud, right?
Yeah, right into a cloud.
Or not into a cloud, but because at that point it's way above the clouds, but
and look at this.
Got in between us and the...
Look at this view. Look at this.
Go.
So you can see stage 2 firing there on the MVAC and the RCS pulses of stage 1, or the booster, as it begins to turn and orient itself in preparation for atmospheric reentry here in a few minutes. And that's one of the benefits of launching so close to sunset or sunrise.
There's the fairings.
Yep. Look at that. Gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Fantastic tracking here from D this morning. My goodness. Still have it visually with the Mark 1 eyeballs as well. Although it is getting more and more difficult to tell because it is quite bright now. The sun's staring at me right in the face. Always a good time. All four grid fins have now been... Is that a bug? Ugh. It looks almost like a bug.
I don't know if a bug would survive up there. I think that's
right.
part of
that's
it.
why I'm confused. Like that looks like a bug of sorts, but now that just looks like debris floating around in the camera lens.
Yeah, there's just kind of debris, or there's debris just floating around the vehicle. I mean, I was about to say, bugs aren't going to survive at 112 kilometers up.
I would imagine not. But as you can see, all four grid fins of Falcon 9, or at least these two grid fins of Falcon 9, I would hope all four, have been deployed in preparation for atmospheric re-entry to help control the booster and keep its orientation and steer it towards the drone ship this morning, which of course is a Shortfall of Gravitas, stationed around 600 kilometers northeast of the Cape. RCS Pulse is still firing away because those grid fins are ultimately useless if there is no atmosphere to react with them. And of course, in the vacuum of space, there is no atmosphere whatsoever. So the RCS is the only way Falcon 9's first stage has to orient itself before it comes back.
I'm not saying it's aliens, but it's aliens.
You would say that. you would say that. I expect nothing less from you, Ryan. I'm not going to say it's aliens, but it's aliens.
Yeah, it's the replicators.
It's the replicators. Oh, goodness.
For anyone
gracious.
who's watched Stargate.
I feel bad I haven't watched Stargate at this point, but that's a conversation for a different time, I think.
Oh,
I know.
boy.
I know. I'm sorry to disappoint.
That's no, I'm immensely disappointed in you.
No, you're not. No, you're
yes,
not.
I am.
Don't lie. Okay, fair enough.
Stargate's one of the best of all time. It's one of the best sci-fi series ever. Yeah.
I'll take your word for that one. Anyway, Falcon 9 continuing downrange. The view on the right-hand side of your screen is from Falcon 9's upper stage, and on the left-hand side of your screen, Falcon 9's first stage is preparing to fire its re-entry burn with 3 of its 9 Merlin 1D engines to decelerate itself enough, and also use the exhaust simultaneously from those engines to shield itself from the superheated gases from the initial moments of reentry. Because Falcon 9's first stage right now is traveling at almost 8,000 kilometers an hour. And there we go. We have the call out for reentry burn startup. Should see it on the screen momentarily. There we go. There's one engine.
Stage 1.
And now over to 3.
Saved.
call out there that stage 1 FTS has safed.
Stage 1, entry burn shutdown.
Still on 3 engines. On the video, there's now down to 1 and shutdown. And just like that, about 3,500 kilometers an hour of speed shaved off instantly. Well, not instantly, but in a very short period of time. Now passing through 34 kilometers in altitude, dropping fast. And now decelerating as Falcon 9's first stage is coming into further contact with the deeper and thicker parts of Earth's atmosphere. That's when these grid fins will begin to shine. Loss of views at this point in flight is normal. Nothing to freak out about there. Here we go. Coming back. Should have visual on the drone ship here somewhat shortly in the left-hand side of your screen if all is going well.
Stage 1 transonic.
Good call out there, Falcon 9, now subsonic. First stage. Six kilometers now in altitude. Should be approaching the point of landing burn ignition here in a few seconds.
Make all these sci-fi references, then I watch chat go nuts over them.
I know, chat is going nuts over it. I wasn't expecting that.
Stage 1 landing.
The shuttle. It's a
Stage 2
formidable
terminal
craft.
guidance.
There we go. Call out there for stage 1 landing burn. There we go. There we go. We can see the center Merlin 1D engine now firing and the 4 grid fins now working to help keep Falcon 9 oriented well. And there is a shortfall of Gravitas just in the middle of your screen there. Landing leg deploy. She's dancing a little bit, but that is a good touchdown of booster B1090 on its 12th flight to space with the Starlink 10-43 mission. Falcon 9's upper stage still continuing to burn for a few seconds longer, expecting Seco or second engine cutoff shortly. And right on cue. There we have it, folks. Starlink 10-43 now well on the way. We expect SES2 or second engine start 2 in about 45 to 50 minutes time. It may be a little bit longer than that to help circularize the orbit and then deploy the Starlink satellites, but SpaceX's coverage will not last to that point, and we expect their views to drop momentarily. But we have our own replays coming here in the next few minutes from this morning's glorious sunrise launch of Starlink 10-43. So we will have those to you as soon as we can. Interesting there, Ryan. Did we not hear a call out for nominal orbital insertion?
Don't know if we heard it, but I have to go back and look. I think the numbers looked fine.
They did. But still worth noting, I think, that we did not hear a nominal orbital insertion call out.
Maybe they ended so early because SpaceX loves to just end it as soon as Seco happens these days.
I mean, maybe is a possibility, but normally by that point we would have heard it. But we'll have to see what happens.
I mean, 27,272 miles per hour and 143 kilometers. That looks right to me.
Yeah, nothing about stage 2. The stage 2 burn looked off nominal to me, at least in terms of performance and also
it's
visually.
the correct speed. I don't know if that's too low or not. I have to go stand by.
Well,
that's a little slow. Well,
is it?
That's a Vandy launch. Let me check might be a little bit different off of Vandy launch. No, it's the exact same as the May 29th Starlink. No, it's fine.
Chat, did you guys notice a grid fin being stuck on the first stage booster? I'm seeing some comments about that now in the back channel. Sorry if I missed it from y'all. That's interesting. Okay, I guess we'll have more replays to pull from the SpaceX stream as well
Yeah,
to try
looks like
and
one
get a
did
better
get
look at that.
stuck.
Really?
Looks like one. Yeah, looks like one got one. It rolled over and got stuck.
That would not be the first time that's happened, although it is not a common
If
occurrence.
like at around. Here, stand by.
Interesting. Okay, so I guess we'll have to wait for more views on that. Now I'm curious because I was up. I wasn't paying attention to the actual Griffin itself, so maybe I just flat out missed that probably. One more replay to pay attention to, but if it did lock up, which at that point, which it may
It's happened before.
it has happened before, but it has 3 others to help navigate itself, and either way, the first stage still came down on target on speed, and from what we can tell, it has, or it is currently in a recoverable state. Hopefully, it
Well,
stays that way. Go ahead.
the thing is when it locked up, because it locked up right. When we get to showing it here, you'll notice it locks up right at the end of the landing burn. At that point, the grid fins aren't really doing anything anymore.
Yep.
The booster's not going fast enough to really impart for the grid fins to impart any control authority on the booster.
Yep.
It's all down to the TVC of the Merlin. So it can lock up at the end there and they won't really have any issues. It's not really that big of a problem. They can't have that lock up on they could have the rudder fin lock up on Block 3 booster, but if they have a side fin lock up on a Block 3 booster coming back for super heavy, well, that's a problem.
Yes, but
That's
it's
a
also worth
significant problem.
it's worth noting though that the grid fins on Falcon 9 and the grid fins on Starship are actuated much differently.
Oh
On
yeah.
Falcon 9's grid fins are both deployed and actuated with a hydraulic system, whereas on Starship they use electric motors for its now 3 grid fins on top of the super heavy booster. So much different systems. They don't share any parts. Obviously, the grid fins on super heavy are also much bigger than that of Falcon 9. So yes, I think not much to worry about there. I think in the
It
bigger
happens.
picture, but it does happen. But the fact that it happened at such a low speed and low altitude meant that the Merlin was able to more than compensate and help guide Falcon 9 down to where it needed to be. Had that happened a bit earlier in flight, it may have caused some issues. But alas, that is not the reality that we look at this morning. And it sounds like we have some replays ready while Jay works some more trying to get the grid fin sorted out. Replay here from one of our fleet cams over at Rusty's in the Port, which is a fantastic restaurant, by the way. If you want to grab something to
Can
eat in
confirm.
the meantime, go ahead.
I said can confirm the mac and cheese balls are absolutely amazing.
It was you who was going on about the mac and cheese bowls there. I remember somebody was.
It's so good.
It is pretty good. I'm not gonna lie.
That plus like a really nice like fresh caught fish. Oh, it's so good together. And hey, look, rocket.
Oh yeah, by the way, rocket flying in the middle of your screen there with I think that's booster 1095 on the left-hand side of your screen, whichever one flew last. 1090.
1090 is the one that's flying. I think I don't remember the one at the port. I'm waiting.
The one of the port. I think it's I'll have to check
I've lost
next
track of
space flight.
boosters
Yeah, I
these
mean,
days.
same. Honestly, me as well. But that is
I'm
a
waiting.
rather glorious looking morning sky there.
1085 flew before this one, so I'm assuming it's
1085. That's what
before.
it was. I thought it was 95.
Yeah.
It's 85. Okay, that makes sense.
I'm assuming it's that one. So
View from one of our robotic cameras here at the Kennedy Space Center press site at the hut that we call the building here. Climbing over the trees there into the bright and colorful sky. Wonderful. The sound was also really intense this morning as well, because there's about the wind is more or less coming from the direction of the launch pad, which helps the sound carry in this direction a bit better. And a bit tighter of a view from another one of our robotic cameras here as well. It's nice to not see one fly at night, and you're able to see the actual body of the rocket as well. It's a nice change of pace. And I believe this is from Dee's wide camera there on the press site lawn. Look at that. Absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, they may just need to change the hydraulic motor on that thing. We'll see. Here.
And I think we're going to play out with the
There it is,
slow-mo
right
here,
there.
but we're going to go, oh yeah, look at that.
When it's goes to turn and it locks up, and it's going slow enough at that point that it doesn't necessarily matter.
Yeah, I
It's
think
still being used here a little bit, and then it locks up, at which point the other three are compensating for it as well as the TVC. So you see it roll slightly as it compensates for the fact that it just locked up a grid fin, and then once it gets slower, it doesn't really matter at that point because there's not as much airflow through the grid fin. But yeah, it slightly locks up right there. Hey, things break. The point is that it happened later in the flight. And it, it was able to recover and land.
That was a hard lockup too, as it was coming back towards the camera there.
Yeah,
boom. Look at that.
It went full authority towards one side and just locked.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Again, thankfully this happened at a later point in the flight. Again, where the grid fin didn't have much control authority over the booster compared to the TVC or the thrust vector control of the single Merlin 1D engine they're firing in the center of the booster. Certainly something to be looked at, because failures like this on Falcon 9 or issues like this aren't exactly commonplace. And also 1090 is not exactly an old booster, so it's kind of weird to see this happen on a booster that has only flown now 12 times.
I'm not shocked. Things fail. Things break in ways you least expect them. That's a hydraulic motor run off RP1, so they don't have like they use the actual RP1. Kerosene isn't really. It's not insanely compressible. And whatnot, so you can use it as a hydraulic fluid, and that's what SpaceX uses. They use the actual RP1 for their for all of their hydraulics on board Falcon 9, and of course, as we said, when they go to Starship, everything's electric now. Nothing's hydraulic. There's a bunch of pneumatics, which are all like valves and everything like that. But yeah.
You know what also used its own propellant as a hydraulic fluid? The Saturn V and the F1s for its TVC. Fun fact.
Use RP1 as well.
Yes, indeedy.
Kerosene is not very compressible.
No,
it is
not.
Which makes it great to use and it's actually relatively stable too. It's one of the more stable. At least RP1 is.
Yeah,
it's storable and stable liquids for a carbon fuel, and it can be used in instances for hydraulics and stuff like that. So that's kind of where that's nice at. Yeah,
it's also among the least expensive as well, which makes it an ideal propellant to use for a rocket that flies as often as Falcon 9 does, and also for an engine configured the way the Merlin 1D is, with its own single gas generator with the exhaust tossed overboard. It's a lot simpler to use. It's a lot cheaper to use. It's dare I say, borderline a perfect propellant next to hydrogen, even though hydrogen is an absolute pain in the behind to work with sometimes. But kerosene, by comparison, is what? What?
Kerosene's good. The problem with kerosene is coking issues.
Correct.
It is the biggest issue with kerosene. That's where methane is like the perfect medium. Hot, good ISP, decent thrust. Your ratios aren't nuts, and it's not that hard to get. It's a really, really nice medium for propellant, and you can make it on Mars if you need to. So,
but also because of the high carbon content of RP1, it is a lot easier to implement film cooling with RP1 as well, which may come in handy if you have, say, a fluid channel burn through somewhere in the nozzle or the combustion chamber. It's a lot easier to compensate with that for that with RP1 with that layer of soot or which is it's essentially so film cooling is essentially the when how do I explain this? It's essentially when you take some unburnt RP1 or very fuel rich RP1 from either the gas generator or somewhere else in the engine and flow it directly in between the actual wall of the combustion chamber and or nozzle and or throat and the actual exhaust, burning hot exhaust in the actual combustion chamber producing thrust. It provides a boundary layer in between the exhaust and your nozzle as well to add that additional layer of cooling. Go
yeah,
ahead, Ray.
the film cooling is between the exhaust and the nozzle. Regen is inside the nozzle itself. So there's regen cooling, there's film
Yes.
cooling. So yeah, there's just for anyone who wants to know the difference. Yeah.
Yes, correct. But it certainly helps to know a lot of that, or it helps to have as much of that as possible on an engine that runs as hot as Merlin does, but also one that burns as hot as Raptor does as well, given its mixture of methane and RP1. I'm sorry, methane and LOX. Good gracious, it the lack of sleep is catching up to me, folks. Now, folks, good grief. And on that terrible disappointment, I think it is now time to begin wrapping up our coverage of the Starlink 10-43 mission this morning here from the Space Coast of Florida. And I want to first start by thanking those who were on the stream with us today. First, by which being the voice that you just heard, Ryan Weber. Ryan, thank you very much for coming on and talking with us this morning.
Pleasure as always. Always I have to get in my Falcon 9 launches every once in a while, do that, hit. I don't know if I have a quota to hit, but I got to at least kind of come on to a Falcon 9 launch every once in a while. As much as I do a ton of Starship stuff, but yeah, it's fun as always.
It's a top secret quota that only those who are cool know about. And I guess you're on that list now. Also in the field for us on some cameras for the live stream was D-Wise. D, thank you very much for coming out this morning and giving us some feeds.
Absolutely. It was a gorgeous one. The sunrise, it was just perfect timing. I look forward to y'all seeing the slow-mo as we play out here. It was an absolute pleasure.
Fantastic. And also behind the scenes, pushing the buttons and pulling the levers, making the live stream do live stream things is the one and only Jay Keegan. My name is Max Evans, spaceflight content producer here at NSF, and I have been your host for this morning's coverage. Enjoy the current playout of D's slow-mo replay of this morning's launch as we wrap up today's coverage. Thanks everyone for watching, and we'll see y'all next time.
And here we go.
There's the deluge. Here's ignition.
Doubling up.
Did it just do a Kerbal?
Back to the moon and beyond.
Put that in the big bag, Gino.
Back at home, we all have a lot of work to do, but from here, that sure looks like a perfect world.
Propulsion continues to be nominal.
We did have an observation. 343 unfolds to go.
It's orange.
Water towers can fly!
Bingo! Right in the center.
Where's Jacqueline? There it is!
That was surreal.
That's not what we want to see.
No!
Oh my God.
Yikes. You bet. We don't need any more of these.